All right. Welcome to the New York State Kinship Navigator's June Lunch and Learn. My name is Cheryl Abbott, and I'm the Regional Coordinator with the New York State Kinship Navigator. Our Lunch and Learns occur usually on the third Thursday of the month. Today, we're joined by DiLenny from Injury Free Coalition for Kids. The session will be recorded. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll answer them as we go. Everyone registered will receive the PowerPoint and a link for today's webinar. The webinars will also be posted to the Kinship Navigator YouTube channel. For those of you joining us today who are not familiar with the New York State Kinship Navigator, what we offer is information, referrals, and education for kinship caregivers, prospective kinship caregivers, and professionals all across New York State. You can connect with us through our warm line, which is 877-454-6463. We are open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can access information and resources through our website, nysnavigator.org. On our website, we have over 70 cited fact sheets and various other resources listed. We offer an online chat that is also open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And of course, you can find our email address on our website. Just as a final note, our next Lunch and Learn will be on July 16th. The presenter is yet to be determined. I'm going to turn it over to DiLenny now.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I know there's a lot going on with end of year stuff, so I hope you can see my presentation. And so today we're going to learn about injury prevention on the road, in the home, and in the playground. My name is DiLenny Roca, and I am with the New York Presbyterian Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital and Injury Free Coalition for Kids. So just a little background, unintentional injuries for children 0 to 19 years old are a big problem. It's probably one of our most pressing problems that we have, especially when we work in a hospital, trauma center like myself. We see many children hospitalized as well as coming into the ER who may be treated and released. So overall, we get 20, not us, but nationally, 20 deaths per day, 197,000, so 200,000 hospitalizations per year, with a cost of $5 billion or more. And that's just the cost of 1 year and over 4.1 million ER visits. So that's a lot of kids getting injured and subsequently either dying or going to the hospital. So, but most injuries are preventable because they are not accidents. They're actually just events that happen, and there are things that cause these events. So one of the number one causes of injuries for children, all ages and any race that you can think of, is unintentional suffocation for children 1 years old or less. Then we have unintentional drowning for children 1 through 4. And then we have motor vehicle crashes for children 5 through 24. Okay, so those are our number one ranking unintentional injuries, meaning that no one set out to have their poor baby suffocate while they were sleeping or drown while they were in a body of water or get into a car crash, right? Again, we don't call it accident, we call it crash. So we're going to talk about how we can prevent some of these, okay? Because it's preventable. Wait, what happened here? Now I get now which slides are you seeing? I'm sorry. Are you seeing my full slides or my other slides, my note slides?
I'm seeing the full slides,
Okay, great.
so
All right.
without the additional.
Yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
it came all by itself. All right. So
Yep.
for the number one death, as I showed you, for children less than 1 years old, is suffocation, meaning children are put to sleep incorrectly in their cribs. So the one child with all the toys and all the pillows and the bumpers around them, that's what most people are used to seeing, and they think, oh, this is such a happy baby. But in reality, babies should sleep alone in their crib and on their back, just the way that you see the little a child in the crib that has nothing in it, because that's one and only way for you to prevent a child from suffocating while they're sleeping. Now, they seem very mobile and very able. A lot of them lift their heads, but sometimes it doesn't happen when they're sleeping for some reason. And so we want to make sure to use the ABCs, which is alone, on their backs, and in their crib. On a firm mattress, make sure that the room is not too hot. And if you use a blanket, make sure that it's nice and tight in there so that they don't use it and put it around their mouths or their heads. And also secondhand smoke is a big problem. So if you smoke, don't smoke in the house. The next thing that we want to talk about is motor vehicle crashes, because it is the number two cause for death for children that are 5 through 20, 0 to 4 years old, and number one cause for children 5 through 24. And this is, like I said, it is a crash. It is not an accident. A lot of the times people are distracted, people are sleepy, people are tired, maybe they've been on some medication, and things happen, or it could just be weather related. So that is an unfortunate incident that happens, but we can prevent serious injury and death if we use a car seat. And the reason why we use a car seat is to keep the child inside of the car so that we can protect their head and their spine and their neck, and we can spread the crash forces all over their little bodies. And then it also makes sure that the child is held down at their shoulders and their hips, not their tummy or their necks or their faces. And that will keep the child in the car. So there's lots of car seats out there, but car seats, we use them based on the age of the child, and their height and their weight. So you have to be very mindful of the fact that there's not just recommendations for children to use a car seat by our clinicians and the American Academy of Pediatrics, but there's also state-specific rules that apply, right? So for us, we want the children to be like in a rear-facing car seat, for example, until they can't be rear facing anymore. Okay. But for New York State, for example, the law says that rear facing car seats, children should stay rear facing at least to 2 years old. So if you have a child that is less than 2 years old, they should be rear facing in your car, because when you forward face them too early, their bodies are just not primed for that yet. And so the older, the better to turn them around. So typically for forward-facing car seats, you keep a child in there until they're at least 4 years old and 40 pounds based on New York State law. Okay. And then comes a booster seat. And a lot of us might not think booster seats are that important, but they are, because they give the children that little bump that they need so that the seatbelt runs across their shoulder and over their hips and not on their neck or their tummies, okay? So we need to keep a child in a car seat until they are, or a restraint system, until they are 8 years old. Then when they are at least 8 years old, 4'9" and 100 pounds, they can move to a car seat. And they should be riding in the back until they're at least 13 years old. So no children in the front seat, okay? So our injury deaths continue, and drowning is number one for children 1 through 4 years old. And it's a horrible thing that happens, because most people think that it's a very that you're going to see a child drowning or something like that. Sometimes it happens right while you're sitting there. Hospitals are now required to show a water safety and drowning prevention video to new mothers or parents at childbirth before they leave the hospital, just to get them thinking about these things. And now we also have a public awareness campaign that started last year in New York State. And for this map, for example, this represents all of the drowning injuries that have been reported in New York State, and it's a lot. And they could be in open bodies of water or they could be in backyard pools. So there's 5 layers of prevention that we can use to prevent a drowning in a child or anyone for that matter. First of all, if you are in an area with a pool, now we're all going to vacations and things like that. We end up at Airbnbs. Maybe it has a pool, or maybe you went to visit a family member. We want to make sure that those pools have barriers and alarms. If they do not, try not to go out there, have the child go out there by themselves. They need to have four-sided fencing with self-closing, self-latching gates, pool safety covers, and alarms. That's the first thing for places and homes that have pools. The other thing is supervision. You cannot replace supervision at all. Even when you're in a public pool and there are lifeguards, or you're at the beach and there are lifeguards, it is our responsibilities as parents to always have our eyes on our children. They should also learn to swim. That is very important to have those swimming skills that can maybe help in a situation. And then if you're in a boat or in open water, children should wear life jackets to prevent any drowning events. And then it's always great that if it does happen, that you should have some type of emergency preparedness training that you can use while 911 gets there. So CPR with breath is important to know, as well as knowing where you are at the moment so that you can call 911 and they can get there as soon as possible. Okay, and I'm sorry I'm talking so fast because I want to make sure that you get everything that I need to talk about. So the number one place for children to get hurt is actually in our own home. And that is always a kicker for everyone because you expect it to be anywhere else but our home. But it is our home, and we're going to talk about how we can, how that's the case, okay? So in the number one cause of unintentional injuries for all ages is actually unintentional falls. So children will fall when they're more than anything else, when they're less than 1 years old. They're going to fall more than any other situation when they're 1 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and so on. Okay, and so this is something that will not necessarily um kill or have a child die from a fall, but it does happen. But the majority of these children are non-fatal injuries and end up in the hospital and maybe with a broken leg or a broken arm. And we want to also prevent that because that's very devastating to families, okay? So, and this is how they fall. They roll off the couch. They fall inside of the tub. They fall down the stairs. They fall off of their high chairs, and they fall out of windows, amongst a lot of different other things. Okay. So just be very vigilant because you can have a child like this that even though you have a baby safety gate and you are preventing this child from running up the stairs or down the stairs, this child is very mobile and very curious and somehow very, very strong. And they can do what you see here, where they're like climbing up the side of the stairs. So you want to make sure to always have your eyes on those mobile toddlers, for example, or bigger kids. Then you can also use doorknob covers to make sure that they don't open certain doors that might have be injurious to them, like maybe some in your room that you might have medication and other things that you don't want children to see, or maybe a lot of people do have firearms that should be stored securely, so maybe you don't want the child to go in there. Make sure to use doorknob covers. Window stoppers are very important, especially in New York City. We have a law that says that you have to make sure to have window guards on your windows, but in the rest of the state, that's not necessarily true. And so you live maybe like in a 1-story or 2-story, but you should still have window stoppers to help that window only go up about 6 inches and your child doesn't fall out the window. And then bathtub decals are nice because they prevent children from falling inside of a bathtub. And always supervision. You don't want those children in there getting burnt or falling in a bathtub because that's a very serious injury. The other thing that's a number one cause of fires in homes, and the biggest fire that we've had in New York City, for example, was in the Bronx. About 12 families were lost in that particular incident, and it was due to a cooking fire. And we have to remember that children cannot be in the kitchens unattended. If you're cooking and the children are around you, make sure to put those pots in the back burner. Make sure that the children are not drinking hot liquids, hot soups on their own, or cooking these hot food items by themselves. So also, like I said, in the bathtub, you have to be careful that children are not getting scolded that way. But you can prevent that obviously by supervision. You can have a little thermometer like this cute little duck. Other things that will cause a burn would be children getting electrocuted. You can have an outlet cover, or you can prevent if there is a fire there, you must have a smoke alarm or a carbon monoxide detector, which is very important, especially during the winter months. The carbon monoxide detectors are a very useful life-saving item, and you could possibly get some of these for free depending on the time of year. And always ask your landlord, hey, I need a fire. You need to have a smoke detector and a carbon dioxide detector in here. Don't be shy. It's your safety in general and your child's safety. The other thing that's very, very important is the fact that we have little button batteries all over our house. The thing that you less expect has a button battery, and that will be your key finders, your remote controls. The kids' toys have button batteries, your car keys, your key fobs have button batteries. They're all over the place. And so sometimes they just, fall out or something. Be very mindful. These are very, very dangerous, and they can cause serious burns down a child's esophagus. They ingested, you don't know that they did, and then they have battery acid in them, burn their esophagus and their stomach, and a lot of them don't make it, but it's a horrible thing to see in our hospital. So make sure to check, make sure that if you also have pets, to make sure that there's no button batteries around, because it's a very tragic incident from such a tiny little thing. Another thing that we don't think about too much is basically our huge TV. So today was the ticker tape parade, and a lot of us got to watch it on our big screen TVs at home. These are dangerous when they are not anchored down to something. So if you have them like on top of a TV stand or something, please make sure that the children are not trying to reach up into it or playing around there or have any toys around there, anything that catches their attention. Because every 3 weeks, a child dies from a TV tipping over on them. And it's so devastating. Now, a lot of these children are less than 5 years old. They're just kind of eating and playing and just watching their cartoons. And then they get up and start, banging on the TV, and it falls on them. So always make sure that these TVs are anchored down or on your wall where the children don't have access to it. Another thing is our furniture, where children love climbing on these furniture items. And unfortunately, there is a lot of incidents where a child has to come into the emergency room or just don't make it because there was a tip over of a furniture in their home, and then they can't um, they can't overcome that. Now, this is a furniture anchor, and actually you can purchase this anywhere, and make sure that those furnitures are anchored down, and that if you see this happening, it's not going to fall on a child, because we did have an incident many moons ago in where Charlie Horn was his name. He was about 2 years old, and a furniture item fell on him. Unfortunately, he was not able to survive that furniture tip over, and he passed away. But his family started this place called Charlie's House. It's in Kansas City. It's a wonderful place that you can visit, but they have teamed up with Amazon so that they can provide virtual safety experience for all families. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a bit, but I'm going to finish up first, okay? So just remember, adult supervision is where it's at. Regardless of all the things that we can buy or put in place, our eyes and our five senses are very, very important to make sure that we can keep these children safe while in our care, and also injury-free. And that's why we have an injury-free site here, right? So that we can educate you and remind you of that. If there are any questions, I will stop here, and I'm going to show you that video from Charlie's House. And I thank you today for your time and these wonderful 20 and 25 minutes where I was able to talk a little bit about injury prevention and how to keep children safe. Any questions so far? Nothing. I'm happy to if there's anything that you might want me to review, because I know I was talking pretty fast, I can go and do that as well. But in the meantime, I did pull up the Charlie's House thing. I can't show it to you because you need to download it on your on one of your social media. Um, it says download Charlie's Safety House, either on iOS and Android. And basically, once you get the house in your social media, you can go through each room of the house and see what types of injuries or things that can cause an injury are happening in that house. So this is a great way for you to have it at the tip of your hands and see how, you know, things that you might not even think about that might be affecting your child's safety. So just real quick, this is like a 3-minute video, but just to kind of show what Charlie's House is all about. I'll try to um, move through it as fast as possible.
Accidents are the #1 cause of injury to children. And so the mission of Charlie's House is to prevent those accidents and injuries from occurring to children in and around your home. It's been the mission of Charlie's House since day one. In November of 2007, our 2.5-year-old son, Charlie, passed away from an accident. A short 30-inch dresser tipped over on Charlie and took his young life. From that tragedy, my wife and I decided that we did not want anyone else to experience that type of accident. From that point, Charlie's House was born. Since opening our doors, Charlie's House has had a huge impact on Kansas City. Thousands of parents and caregivers come to Charlie's House and they learn how to properly child-proof their home. They tour the safety demonstration house and learn safety tips that they can take back and use in their home. So we are so excited to expand our reach beyond Kansas City to the rest of the world by expanding our physical experience into a digital one. This whole idea started with conversations we were having with Amazon. We wanted to take Charlie's House and expand it to the world. And we did that through developing this virtual experience. Through this digital experience, you'll be able to tour a home and go to each individual room and see what hazards there may be and how to properly child-proof your home. This experience is an education tool, which will get people the safety information they need when they need it the most.
The important thing in safety education is to be able to grasp people's attention in a way that they relate to their life, that you can mitigate that risk in your home, and then provide a way to do that right now while you're thinking of it.
This was not an easy task. We really wanted to make sure we got it right. So we worked with...
Oops, sorry. So I stopped sharing in case y'all have any questions in the last 2 minutes. I think it's a wonderful tool. I wanted to make sure to share it with y'all. I have it on my phone to share with people around me and also to let others know. So if you have any questions with regards to the presentation or Charlie's house, let me know. Well, it looks like there will be no questions today. Well, thank you for being here today and listening to our injury prevention presentation and to learn something today with regards to suffocation, drowning, and motor vehicle crashes, and how you can prevent them, because those are the top 3 causes of unintentional injuries to children from 0 to 24 years old. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you, DiLenny, for presenting for us. If there's no questions, I guess we'll end it here. Give you a minute. All right. And have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.